Yesterday I was using another software, suddenly it was got uninstalled. Then I am hearing this PDF online. Okay. So we have seen this syllabus is about the studying the formation of electronic device, how it is formed, and when a force is applied, when some external field, when external voltage is applied, how the behavior of the electronic device under the influence of certain electric field, and based on the behavior where it can be used. So therefore, we discussed the formation, electrical behavior, and application. So where we use. So therefore, in our syllabus, we will be discussing about all the variety of two-terminal electronic devices and three-terminal electronic devices, how they are formed, their constructional details. So formation is nothing but constructional details. So these are the three aspects we will be dealing with for each and every electronic device. So before that, we will quickly revise the semiconductor physics topics in material classification. Okay, material classification. So material classification, how the metals are classified, how these materials are classified, how many ways? Three ways, right? So the first one is metal. Yes, if you know the answers, then you can read out metal, semiconductor, and the third one is insulator. Insulator. Okay. So out of these three, why we are choosing semiconductor material, even having the metal with high degree of conductivity. Okay. So that is the first question. We will be discussing the answer to this first question. Why semiconductor is more popular than conductor? Right. So any guess? You know answer? You can try.
We can regulate the current flow.
Yes, true. So regulating in the sense, more understandable way. The answer is that the conductivity of the semiconductor, the conductivity of the semiconductor can be increased to a large extent in many ways. There are many ways to increase the conductivity of many ways to increase the conductivity of semiconductor. To increase the conductivity of semiconductor. So what is that? What are those ways? Yes, any answer? So this conductivity of the semiconductor, we can increase the current by adding, if you add a slight amount of, by adding a slight amount, if you add a slight amount of other substances which are called impure atoms. Okay. So by adding slight, slight impurity atoms by adding a slight amount of impurity atoms to the semiconductor, we can largely increase the conductivity of the semiconductor. Okay, so I'm telling you here the point that by adding a slight amount of impurity or other foreign substances into the material, we can increase the conductivity to a large extent. So it means here I will highlight that semiconductor is a non-linear device. It is a non-linear device. It does not follow Ohm's law. Doesn't obey Ohm's law. So current is not proportional to the applied voltage. Current is not proportional to the applied voltage. It doesn't follow Ohm's law. Therefore, it is a non-linear device because for a small variations in the for a small variation in the applied voltage, if you increase the voltage, suppose a semiconductor is there, you have given some voltage to that semiconductor. So even if you give a small incremental voltage, even if you increase the voltage to a small value, there will be a large increase in the current. Okay, the smaller delta V results in larger currents in the semiconductor. So smaller voltage variation results in a large variation in the current. Therefore, we say that it is a nonlinear device. And the conductivity you can increase it to a large extent by adding impurity atom to this semiconductor. And another way of increasing the conductivity of the semiconductor is another way of increasing the semiconductor conductivity is what is the other way? Can anyone? Any other way other than adding impurity? Yes.
By increasing the temperature.
See, is the screen visible? There was a internet disconnection happened suddenly. So there is an internet disconnection. I have connected my hotspot. Wait for a few minutes. Then it is slow with hotspot. So the first point is it visible? Is the screen visible? Yes?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I will share once again. Is it visible now?
No, ma'am.
Now? Yes? Yes, is it visible now? Is the screen visible?
No, ma'am.
You are presenting. It is showing that you are presenting. It is showing that you are presenting. Once again, I will join once again. Is screen visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So just now power has come, so I have connected the internet instead of hotspot wherein the net is very slow. So we discussed that the main reason is that the conductivity of the semiconductor can be increased to a large extent by adding a small amount of impurity. You can increase the conductivity to a large extent. So that adding impurity to the semiconductor material is called, the process is called doping. And the second one is by the temperature effect. With the temperature, if you increase the temperature or if you throw some light to increase the temperature or if you throw some light, then based on the intensity of the light, the electron hole pairs will be generated. So like that also you can increase the conductivity of the semiconductor. Okay, so doping is the one reason and the second one is temperature. So temperature also will largely affect the conductivity of the semiconductor. And the another reason why we are going for the semiconductors means the main reason is that with increase in temperature, if temperature increases, then resistance decreases. If temperature increases, then resistance decreases. This is the case of the semiconductor. Yes? Whereas in metals, if you increase the temperature, the resistance is also going to increase. This is the case in metals. So you cannot alter the conductivity of the metal with the temperature. So this is the case for metals. So this is the another advantage of increasing the conductivity with increasing the temperature. So these are the main reasons why we are going for semiconductors, having the metals with high conductivity. Though initially the metal inherently it is having high conductivity, but we cannot alter according to our application. We cannot change the conductivity of the, we cannot increase or decrease the conductivity of the. Okay, you can decrease with the temperature, but if you want to increase, then that we can increase to a large extent in the semiconductor side. Okay, so these are the reasons why we are going for semiconductor. And see here in the periodic table, if you observe, so these are the fourth group elements wherein the silicon and germanium, these are the two most commonly used semiconductor materials. Here it is shown the elemental semiconductor. Some of the semiconductors, table 1.2 I am showing here, table 1.2, a list of semiconductor materials. Okay. So the most commonly used semiconductor materials are silicon and germanium. And there is a categorization here. There is a categorization elemental semiconductor and compounded semiconductor. So the difference is that just I am giving you to have an idea, but this is not an important. You should have the knowledge that the semiconductors are available with a single same common type of atoms. Semiconductor material having all the atoms of same type, which are called elemental semiconductor. Semiconductor materials which are having the atoms of different. Okay. So here compounded, they are called compounded. So compounded means aluminum atom is there, phosphide atom is there. Aluminum is there, arsenide is there. So two compounds are involved to form the semiconductor. Okay. Gallium is there, phosphorus is there. So gallium, phosphorus. Gallium is there, arsenide is there. So gallium, arsenide. So these are called the compounded and these are elemental semiconductors. So in our syllabus, we will be dealing with elemental semiconductors, silicon and germanium. Just I will show you how the atoms are arranged in a semiconductor. That I would like to show you. Okay. Okay. So all of you see here this picture. Generally, semiconductors are crystalline in nature. Semiconductors are crystalline in nature. Okay. So this is called the crystalline nature of the semiconductor, and the semiconductors here it is showing that silicon is the most commonly used semiconductor material. Silicon is the referred as fourth group element and has a diamond crystal structure. Okay. So as I said, semiconductor materials are crystalline in nature. They are crystalline, and the shape of the crystal structure is diamond shaped. This crystal structure will be diamond shaped. Listen carefully. The semiconductor materials, most commonly used semiconductor materials are silicon and germanium. Whether it is germanium or silicon, both will have a diamond shaped crystal structure. So this I would like to show you the diamond shaped crystal structure. So here this is the diamond shaped crystal structure. So the atoms are arranged. The atoms are arranged in such a way that the atoms in the crystalline structure are arranged in such a way that they form a diamond shaped crystalline structure. So each atom is surrounded by four neighboring atoms. So this just to have an idea that so far what we have discussed, we discussed that why we are going for semiconductors, what are the reasons, how to increase the conductivity of the semiconductor, that is we have seen. Just we are talking only about the uh, fundamentals, the basics of the some basic idea of the semiconductors before we move on to the exact actual contents of the syllabus. So we have not yet entered into the syllabus. The syllabus starts with the band diagrams. So the syllabus starts with the band diagrams. So before we start the band diagram of the intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductor, what exactly is a semiconductor and how it looks like. So all those things you need to know. So the semiconductors are crystalline in nature and the shape of the crystal structure is diamond shaped crystal structure. Okay, so that is the diamond shaped crystal structure. One second. I would like to show you another diagram. How energy bands are formed. So generally, straight away we will be referring that there is a valency band, there is a conduction band. Okay, but how that valency and conduction bands are formed? How that valence and conduction bands are formed? I will show you here. Okay. So listen here. So in the crystalline structure, suppose silicon, we will take silicon semiconductor material. Okay. So we'll take a silicon semiconductor material. So silicon and Is this screen visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry for the inconvenience. Net is getting connected and disconnected frequently. I'm connecting my hotspot sometimes and knowledge internet. Okay. So what are the number of valence electrons in silicon? The silicon atomic number is how much? Yes, it is 14, right? కుమరయ్య ఒక్క 10 నిమిషాల్లో రావచ్చా క్లాస్ అవుతుంది ఒకసారి చెప్పరా అర్జెంట్ అయితే మళ్ళీ ఫోన్ చేయి రావచ్చా అని అడగమన్నారు అంటే 10 నిమిషాలు అయిపోతుంది క్లాసు కరెంట్ కూడా వస్తుంది పోతుంది అసలు ఎంత అవ్వట్లేదు క్లాసు ఒకసారి చెప్పు Okay. So the atomic number of silicon is 14. So 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2 and 3p6. Right? So number of valence electrons are 4. So there exist 4 valence electrons in each silicon atom. Okay. So generally when you see the energy band diagram, this is unable to open, I don't know why. When you see the energy band diagram, each atom will provide 4 valence electrons. Each atom provides 4 valence electrons. Okay. So, but here, if you see the energy band diagram, I thought of to draw here. So each electron will occupy in the atomic model. If you visualize, each electron will occupy certain energy level. Okay. So first n equal to 1, n equal to 2, n equal to 3, like that energy states will be there, right? So just like that, one second, if I can open this blank document, I will draw that and I will show you. Otherwise, see here. So let us assume that this is the energy of an electron and at n equal to 1, this is the at the first level, in the first energy level n equal to 1, this is the energy level of the electron, let us assume. For in an isolated atom, this is the energy level at n equal to 1. Listen, I repeat. In a single silicon atom, I am not taking the crystal, silicon crystal. So silicon crystal means all the silicon atoms are periodically arranged to form the diamond structure. All the silicon atoms are periodically arranged to form the diamond structure. Okay. So here, if you take a single silicon atom, let us assume this is the energy level at n equal to 1. This is the energy level of the electron at n equal to 1. Now, in the crystal where all the silicon atoms are periodically arranged, so each silicon atom will consist of it is surrounded by the other silicon atoms. Okay. Now here, just I will write here. So the configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p2. Okay. Now, if one silicon atom is there and another silicon atom is there. Okay. Now, there will be a here when the atoms are surrounded, when each silicon atom is surrounded by the other silicon atoms. Now, suppose two silicons you take. Now, at the same n equal to 1, at the energy levels, now you will see that there are two discrete energy levels you can see at the same n equal to 1 state because two atoms are there. So discrete, the closely spaced discrete energy levels, like that in the silicon crystal, the valence electrons, these valence electrons of one silicon atom are shared by the valence electrons of the shared by the other atom. So when they are closely spaced, while forming the crystal, when the atoms are closely placed, what will happen? This discrete and closely spaced energy levels, they will form as a band. So they will form as a band. I repeat, in the Bohr atomic model, if you see, this could be n equal to 1, and this is n equal to 2, and this is n equal to 3. So this is the energy band diagram, energies of the electrons at n equal to 1 state, 2 state, and 3 state. Okay, this is a silicon atom, single silicon atom. But in the crystal, so many silicon atoms are there and each will be surrounded by the many silicon atoms. In that case, what will happen at the same n equal to 1, a closely spaced discrete energy levels will come into picture. And at n equal to 2 like that, closely spaced discrete. These are all the energy levels of the electrons of each atom. Of each atom. So like that, this will form one band and this will form another band. And the space where there are no energy levels exist, that space we will call it as forbidden energy gap. This is called forbidden energy gap. So this is called forbidden energy gap. Forbidden energy gap. So therefore, see here, same thing here shown. See here, see this figure. If the distance between the atoms is very large, if the distance between the atoms is large, then we can see the energy levels separately. But if the interatomic distance, we call it as the interatomic distance. If the atomic distance is decreasing, that means the distance between the neighboring atoms is decreasing, then all these discrete levels form into a band. So this is called band. This is band. So like that, when you take the silicon atom, see here, 4 valence electrons will be there. 4 valence electrons will be there. And the x-axis is R, it is representing, R represents this figure, the figure 3.4b, you can see here, R is the atomic distance. If distance is increased, then you can see here the lines, see the cursor, you can see separately the energy levels. But if the distance is increased, that is when the x-axis is moved towards the left side, what will happen? Whatever 4 valence electrons are there, all 4 valence electrons will come down, and this lower band is formed as the valency band, where all the valence electrons will be there in this valency band, and the upper band, this is the another band. You can see with the help of the cursor. So this is, it will be splitted into 2 parts. When the distance between the atoms is becoming lesser and lesser, when the distance between the atoms is becoming lesser and lesser, then you can see here, this entire energy band is divided into 2 parts. This is lower band, this is the upper band, and in the all 4 valence electrons, all the valence electrons, the 4 valence electrons, okay, so or the 4 valence electrons, for a single atom will have 4 valence electrons, like that 4 n states, okay. So all the valence electrons will come down, and this will form one band, and this will form another band. 0 electrons is there, see, 0 electrons. So no electrons in the upper band, and all valence electrons will be there in the lower band. So like that, band is formed, band of energies will be formed. So this is conduction band and valency band. So like that, energy band diagram, we will directly refer the energy band diagram, but how they are formed means, when the atoms are brought closer, so the energy levels will become closely spaced. So all those set of closely spaced energy levels will look like a continuous band, so a band of energy. So like that, we can form a conduction band and valency band. This is the conduction band and this is the valency band. And all the valence electrons will be there in the valency band. Generally, we say that it is filled band, filled valency band, and this is we call it as empty conduction band, empty conduction band, because all the valence electrons will be moved into this band. So that band is called the filled valency band and empty conduction band. This is the empty conduction band and valency band. So in the energy band diagram, the y-axis will give you the energies of the electrons, will give you the energies occupied by the electrons. Okay, and here see here, semiconductors are of two types, intrinsic and extrinsic. We'll first discuss the intrinsic semiconductor. So intrinsic semiconductor means the semiconductor material consists of either all germanium atoms or all silicon atoms. So intrinsic semiconductor means now we are exactly entering into the first topic of the chapter. We are entering into the first topic of the chapter, energy band diagram of intrinsic and extrinsic. Okay. So see here, intrinsic and intrinsic. The intrinsic semiconductor means the atoms present in the crystal lattice are all of same type. See, I will share these notes at the end of each unit. I will share the notes. This is the notes I have dictated for the previous batch students. Okay. So intrinsic, all the atoms will be silicon only. Now see here, each silicon atom, I have represented the electrons with the dots. So silicon is a fourth group element, and if you observe the configuration, 4 valence electrons will be there. So each atom will have 4 valence electrons. This is 1 valence electron. So therefore, each silicon atom will form these 4 valence electrons will be shared by the neighboring silicon atoms. So 4 valence electrons will form 4 covalent bonds with the neighboring atom. The 4 covalent bonds with the neighboring atom. This is the bond formation. So like that, just I have shown only the 5 silicon atoms, but these atoms are periodically arranged in this crystal to form the diamond structure. Likewise, covalent bonds will be all the valence electrons of each individual silicon will be shared by the other neighboring atoms. Now, if you see here, this is the intrinsic semiconductor material. So the description is given here at 0 degree Kelvin. At 0 degree Kelvin. All of you see here at 0 degree Kelvin. Can you see any free electron? All the electrons are in bond, they are participating in the bond. Can you see any electron which is free? Yes? Are you there in the meet? Can you see any electron? Can you see any free electron which is not participating in the bond?
No, ma'am.
No. So there is no free electron. It means all the electrons are participated in the bonds, covalent bonds. They are involved in the covalent bonds. There is no free electron. So at 0 degree Kelvin, no free electron, no free electron. So therefore we say that at 0 degree Kelvin, semiconductor, it almost acts like an insulator. Therefore, so there are no free electrons. As there are no free electrons for conduction, it almost acts as insulator at low temperatures. So at low temperatures, silicon acts as insulator. Suppose temperature is raised, the surrounding temperature is raised, assume that. So what will happen? If temperature is raised, then the atoms will acquire certain thermal energy. Due to temperature, they will acquire certain thermal energy. Okay, so they will acquire certain thermal energy with which some of the atom they will try to break the covalent bonds. So they will acquire certain thermal energy corresponding to the temperature with which covalent bonds will be broken. So when a bond is broken, what will happen? When a bond is broken, so what will happen? So this electron, it comes out of it, an electron will comes out of it, and in place of an electron, a deficiency is created. So electron has come out of it. When a bond is broken, all of you please see here, all of you please see when electron has come out of that bond, when a bond is broken, electron will come out of the bond and a deficiency is created in that place where electron has left. So has left a deficiency. So how many number of free electrons are there now when a bond is broken? How many number of free electrons are there? If one bond is broken, yes,
One free electron.
one free electron. See, it should be interactive. Class must be interactive. Class must be interactive. మీకు తెలియకపోతే నన్ను అడగండి, నేను చెప్తున్నప్పుడు వినండి. ఓకే, ట్రై టు ఆన్సర్. ఓకే, డోంట్ హెసిటేట్ టు ఆన్సర్, ట్రై టు ఆన్సర్. ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ కరెక్ట్, I will tell you the reason why it is not correct. Okay, so feel free to ask doubts, listen carefully. Okay, now one electron has come out of it. So one free electron is generated. Now this free electron is not bound to any silicon atom. It is not bound to any atom. Okay, it is free to wander. It can wander anywhere in the lattice. So a conduction electron is created. Now see here, in place of the electron where the deficiency is there, that deficiency is treated as hole. So deficiency of an electron in the bond is treated as hole. Okay, so whenever a bond is broken, an electron, at the same time a hole is generated. So electron hole pairs are generated in the semiconductor material. Now I will write here in the same. Just I will represent the same in the band diagram. Just 10 more minutes I will take, not more than that. So electron will be there. Initially all are, so due to temperature, electron will move to the conduction band. Due to the temperature, the atoms will acquire sufficient thermal energy with which some of the covalent bonds will be broken. And when a bond is broken, electron will be moved to the conduction band and a hole will be created in the valency band. So whenever a bond is broken, hole will be created in the valency band, a deficiency is created, and a free electron will be created in the conduction band. Hole will be created in the valency band, a free electron will be created in the conduction band. So in the intrinsic, now the very important observation is that how the number of electrons and holes you relate. What is the relation between number of electrons and holes? Can you relate? Number of electrons and holes. How will you
Equal.
relate? Yes, they are equal. So now the important observation is that in the intrinsic semiconductor, number of electrons is equal to number of holes. So generally throughout the semiconductor electronic devices, instead of number of electrons, we will be talking about electron concentration, which is nothing but number of electrons per unit volume, number of electrons per unit volume, centimeter cube or meter cube. So this is called as the electron concentration, which is denoted with small n, and hole concentration is denoted with capital N. So N equal to P in intrinsic semiconductor, N equal to hole concentration is equal to electron concentration. Hole concentration is equal to electron concentration. So at 0 degree Kelvin, just I am summarizing the points. At 0 degree Kelvin, there are no free electrons. So almost semiconductor acts like insulator, acts like insulator, and as temperature is raised, at higher temperatures, as temperature is raised due to thermal energy, electron hole pairs will be generated. So free electron hole pairs are generated, right? So there are free holes in the valence band, there are free electrons in the conduction band. So there is a possibility of conduction to take place in the semiconductor. Therefore, at 0 degree Kelvin, it acts like insulator. At higher temperature, it starts conducting. So it also acts like a conductor. So the name semiconductor is given because the conductivity of the semiconductor lies between that of the insulator and the conductor. It can be varied between the insulator and the conductor conductivities. So based on the requirement, based on the application, you can drastically change the conductivities. So in the intrinsic semiconductor, number of electrons is equal to number of holes, or electron concentration is equal to hole concentration. Okay. Okay, now we will see the energy band diagram. Here itself I will write the modify it. I will modify here itself. Now the energy band diagram. See the energy band diagram of the intrinsic. So this is EC, the conduction band EC, the energy level, the minimum energy level of the conduction band. This is conduction band, right? The minimum energy level of the conduction band, and EV, the maximum. If you start from here, if you take it this as 0, these are the energies, right? So if you see the valency band, EV is the maximum energy of the valency band, and EC will become the minimum energy of the conduction band. So this EV is the maximum energy level of the conduction band. EC is the minimum energy level of the valency band. So y-axis is energies, right? Energy levels. So this is a band formed. So this is a band. So this is minimum and this is maximum. And if you observe, just now we have observed that number of electrons are equal to number of holes. So there is an energy level. There is an energy level which is called Fermi level. So which is called Fermi level. This is again another energy level which is called Fermi energy level. This is called Fermi energy level. Okay. So where the Fermi energy level, lies exactly in the middle of the, it lies exactly in the middle of the semiconductor. For an intrinsic semiconductor, this Fermi level lies exactly in the middle. So EC and EV, and the difference between EC and EV is called the energy band gap. So this difference is called energy band gap. EG. This is called EG. So what is the energy band gap? The space where there are no energy levels. There are no energy levels. This is the space. I remove this. Okay. So this is the space where there are no energy levels. And energy band gap Eg can be written as Ec minus Ev. So Ec minus Ev is called the energy band gap. So for the intrinsic semiconductor, this Fermi level exactly lies in the middle of the energy band gap. Why it lies in the middle means, so Fermi level, it is the energy level at which the probability of finding an electron in the conduction band and is equal to the probability of finding an electron in the valency band. So number of electrons in the conduction band and number of holes in the valency band both are same, right? So therefore, the Fermi, since the number of electrons and holes are same, the Fermi level lies exactly in the middle of the load gap, middle of the energy band gap. You see here, just see here. So the electrons in the, see this point, the electrons in the solids obeys Fermi-Dirac distribution. So this Fermi-Dirac distribution will give you how this distribution, it gives you the information about how the electrons are distributed among the existing energy levels, how these electrons are distributed in the different energy levels. That will be given by the Fermi-Dirac distribution. Okay, so this is the expression, the Fermi-Dirac distribution f of E. Okay, so what it denotes? It denotes it gives you the information about the probability that an electron will occupy an energy level E. I repeat, once again, listen. Electrons obeys, electrons in the solids obeys Fermi-Dirac distribution. What is that Fermi-Dirac distribution? It will give you the information about the distribution of electrons in different energy levels. In a better understandable manner, Fermi-Dirac distribution gives you the information about how all the electrons are arranged or distributed in the and at different energy levels. So in more precisely in the standard form, what it is given, distribution gives probability f of e. What is this f of e? F of e is the Fermi-Dirac. It denotes the probability that an electron will occupy an energy level of E. Okay, f of E denotes the probability that an energy level E is occupied by an electron. F of E denotes the probability that this energy level E is occupied by an electron. So this is the mathematical equation. Okay, this is the mathematical equation. Now E minus EF. Now what I said, suppose the energy level is E. All of you please see here. Assume now I am substituting E equal to EF. I am substituting E equal to EF. So if I substitute E equal to EF in the above equation, the probability is becoming half. The probability is becoming half. So it means that in intrinsic, at this energy level, the probability of occupation of an electron is half, exactly half. So what do you mean by half? Probability of occupying that particular energy level by an electron is same as the probability of occupying that particular energy level by hole. So that is the meaning. So that is why, since the electrons and number of electrons and holes are equal, this Fermi level exactly lies in the middle of the band gap. So this is band gap, Eg. So Eg is nothing but Ec minus Ev, Ec minus Ev. This is easy. The minimum energy of the conduction band. Ev is the maximum energy of the valency band. See, one important note is that whatever semiconductor fundamentals, whatever the fundamentals of the diode we are discussing, we learn in the first unit. all these concepts are applicable to the remaining units, because whatever the concepts which we learn in the PN junction, that is semiconductors, the same concepts are applicable to the transistors also. Only the difference is that in diodes you have one PN junction, whereas in the transistors you have two PN junctions. That is the only difference. So whatever the junction theory we study in the first unit, that will be applicable in all the electronic devices consisting of the junctions. కాబట్టి మీరు ఫస్ట్ యూనిట్ ఇఫ్ యూ లిసన్ కేర్ఫుల్లీ, then it will be very very easy to understand the concepts of the all other units. Very easy. Okay, very easy. It's not going to be difficult. First unit concepts, if you learn carefully, if you listen, if you attend the classes carefully, then it will be easy for you to learn the topics of the other units. So this is about the energy band diagram of the intrinsic semiconductor. So in the tomorrow's class, we will see the energy band diagram of the extrinsic semiconductor, and I will also cover uh, in tomorrow's class, we will see the energy band diagram of extrinsic. I think it got hanged. Okay. So in the tomorrow's class, we will see the energy band diagram of the extrinsic semiconductor. So these are the energy band diagrams of the extrinsic semiconductor. With the doping, the Fermi level will move. So with the doping concentration, Fermi level will move. So where it will go, that Fermi level in P-type and N-type. So these are the N and P are the two extrinsic semiconductors, how they are formed, and what are the energy band diagrams of those two. And next we will move on to the carrier transport, how they will move, the charge carriers. What causes the charge carriers? What causes the movement of charge carriers in a semiconductor material? And what is the velocity of the charge carriers? What is mobility? What is velocity and mobility? Their units we will see. So these are all very very important for short answer questions. Define mobility, define uh, um, drift velocity. What is the effect of temperature and on mobility? So all those things are very important for short answer questions. The very from the first unit, the one short answer question we can expect is, see, whenever I explain a topic in the class, so in that 1 hour, what are the expected long answer and short answer questions, I will tell them and there only. So you need not ask again and again at the time of the internal exams. Okay. So the one question we can expect, the short answer question is, draw the energy band diagrams of intrinsic and extrinsic silicon. Okay. So I will, in our syllabus, we have only the silicon, intrinsic and extrinsic silicon, not germanium, because out of the silicon and germanium, again, silicon is more popular. Okay. Silicon is more popular. The main reason is that silicon is having more thermal stability compared with germanium. So silicon material, it can withstand without getting damaged. It can withstand up to higher degree of temperatures compared with the germanium. So that is why thermal stability of silicon is more very large compared with germanium. That is why in all the electronic equipment, in all the IC fabrication, silicon is the only material we are going to use. So silicon is more popular than germanium. So by default, now onwards, whenever semiconductor material I refer, it is by default you should understand that it is a silicon material because of its high degree of thermal stability. So here I will start. In the next class we will see the energy band diagrams of extrinsic and mobility and conductivity of the charge carriers in the extrinsic semiconductors. Okay. So in order to avoid the waste of time, already it is getting wasted due to the sudden disconnection of the internet. I won't take the attendance by calling one by one. I'm requesting the class CR to